When you think of Pensacola, Florida, what comes to mind? Probably those amazing white sand beaches, right? But beyond the vacation vibes, it's a really dynamic city with a housing market that's, well, it's pretty complex. So what is really going on? Let's dive in and decode it. A huge part of what makes this city tick is the military. It contributes over $7.8 billion a year to the economy and supports thousands and thousands of jobs. So let's picture someone. We'll call her Alex, who's maybe relocating here for one of those jobs. So Alex, just like anyone else in her shoes, is going to ask that one giant question. So, how's the market? And it seems like a simple question, right? But in Pensacola, the answer is anything but. To really get to the bottom of it, we've got to deconstruct that question. Because in a market like Pensacola's, that big, broad view, it can be super misleading. You know, as local realtor Jessica Duncan puts it, asking how's the market, it's really a loaded question. It's just not about one single answer. So what are we really asking here? It's not just, is it good or bad, or are prices up or down? No, you've got to get specific. We're talking which price point, which neighborhood. Are we looking at a brand new build or a resale? Each one of those is like its own little mini market. And that right there brings us to the heart of what's happening in Pensacola right now. It is truly a tale of two markets, and the dividing line is price. On the surface, things look pretty stable. We're looking at about 5.5 months of housing inventory, which basically just means that's how long it would take to sell every single house on the market right now. Experts call that a balanced market. But let's dig a little deeper. The average house is now sitting on the market for 79 days before it goes under contract. Now that's way up from just 58 days last year. So that's a pretty big slowdown. But here's the catch. It's not happening across the board. And this is where it gets really interesting. Take a look at this breakdown. On one side, you've got homes under $400,000. They're moving much, much slower. But then on the other side, homes over $800,000 are just flying off the market. The luxury market is absolutely surging. And there's another split to talk about: new construction versus existing homes. It's kind of wild. The average price for a brand new house has actually dropped, while the price for a resale has ticked up a bit. They're playing a completely different game. All right, so we've looked at price points. Now let's get even more granular. Let's zoom in on location. Because in Pensacola, trust me, your neighborhood matters a lot. To really get the lay of the land, you have to understand the city's neighborhoods, including these things called community redevelopment areas, or CRAs. Think of them as zones the city is pouring resources into for growth. And, you guessed it, that's where we're seeing some of the most dramatic shifts. Just look at these numbers for resale homes. I mean, Marcus Point saw a mind-blowing 200% increase in sales year over year. And other spots like Casablanca and East King Tract also saw that triple-digit growth. These neighborhoods are just on fire. But then, just a few miles down the road, it's a completely different universe. In the areas around the University of West Florida and Myrtle Grove, the price per square foot actually went down. And Holly by the Sea, which is usually a super popular spot, saw an 18% drop in sales. And this really illustrates a super important point. Just because some neighborhoods are booming, that does not tell the full story. In a lot of these same communities, a large number of families are living below the poverty line, which makes housing affordability a huge, huge challenge. Okay, so for our buyer, Alex, finding the right house is really just step one. Especially in Florida, that sticker price, that's only part of the equation. There are some other big costs you absolutely have to factor in. We're talking about two big ones: home insurance, which, let's be honest, can get pricey on the Gulf Coast, and property taxes. And understanding how property taxes work here, well, it's a must for any homeowner. Okay. So the most important thing you need to get your head around is the Save Our Homes provision. Here's how it works. Once you have a homestead exemption on your property, this law puts a cap on how much your property's assessed value can go up each year for tax purposes. It is a massive benefit that keeps your taxes from skyrocketing. And here's the absolute best part. If you already own a home in Florida, you can take that benefit with you. It's called portability. All you have to do is set up your new homestead within 3 years and file the right forms. Make sure you get it done by that March 1st deadline. Seriously, this can save you thousands. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's pull all this together and figure out what it really means for someone like Alex, or really for anyone thinking about making a move in the Pensacola area. So here are the big takeaways. First, the overall market is balanced, but that word hides how incredibly segmented it is. The entry level is slowing down while luxury is taking off. Your specific neighborhood can be red hot or ice cold. You've got to look past the sale price to those hidden costs like taxes and insurance. And finally, if you're a Florida resident, that Save Our Homes benefit, it is pure gold. Which leaves us with this one last thought. In a market that's so split, between fast and slow, hot and cold, does an average experience for a buyer or seller even exist anymore? And the real question for you is, which side of that divide are you on?